Through observation, Maria Montessori discovered the phenomenon characteristic of childhood, which are the development stage, the sensitive periods, and the observing mind. She also observed all the aspects such as order, high concentration of children when they are performing a specific activity, and the love for work. The child performs an activity for the simple pleasure of doing it, like cleaning a table over and over again. But the adult always do it with a purpose, which is to clean. Which is clean the table for what? Well, to make it clean or to eat, for example. The development stage has different characteristics and needs for the children, progressing on each stage. Each one at their own place and time, but all of us have gone and will go through it. It must respond to the different stages according to the physical, emotional, and social needs of the person. The most important level of development is the first one, because it is the base on which everything else will be built. It is in this first stage that intelligence is built and the physical faculties of the individual are developed. Through observations, she discovered the characteristic of children's psychic, which is the observing mind. The observing mind is universal, as children all over the world do it. It takes from the age of 0 to 6 years. The child comes with the need to adapt him or herself to the environment in order to survive and to be part of the society. The child will have to absorb everything around him or her, the culture, religion, costumes, and even how to behave. The child needs to understand all of this and make it part of him or herself in order to belong. In the end, we all want to belong to the environment we are coming from. Without any effort from 0 to 3 years of age, babies and toddlers have this unconscious absorbing mind. For the child, for example, if he or she is exposed to 3 languages, they won't realize it, they will just learn them. From the age of 3, when they are more aware, they can show resistance if suddenly you start talking to them in a different language. Normally, at the age of 6, thanks to this absorbing mind, the child will already belong to the environment in which he is born. Once he or she knows the language, the culture, the customs, the traditions, he or she loses this absorbent mind and activates a rational mind. This is the example of a sponge. She explains that if we take a sponge and immerse it in water, the sponge will absorb that water, which might have imprints, it might be clean, it might be dirty, it may have more water, it may have less water, it may be painted, but it will absorb absolutely everything. The only big difference between the sponge and the child is that the child has an unlimited capacity for absorption. However, the sponge will only absorb according to its size and capacity. The child will absorb absolutely everything. You can clean the sponge, you can remove the color, you can remove the imprints, you can remove anything. However, you cannot clean a child of the experiences he or she has accumulated during the first 6 years of life. Another issue that can be observed during the childhood are the sensitive periods. It is a concept that comes from the botanist Hugo de Brie. He was the person who transferred it to Maria Montessori. They made observations of caterpillars and discovered that the caterpillars laid their eggs at the base of a leaf. And when they hatched, they wouldn't eat those leaves, as they had to move until they reached the softer, greener leaves, which are not exactly at the base, but right at the end of the leaf. The caterpillars had a sensitive period of sensitivity to light, and this is what guided them to reach the place where they had to eat. Maria Montessori observes that something similar happens to children. There are moments when they are more sensitive for learning. For example, in language, we can observe that there are moments in which children have special interest in grammar. What does it say here? What does it say there? At that moment is when they are sensitive to this learning. This is the best time when we can expose them to certain issues or certain knowledge, giving them the opportunity to learn. Well, and when all this sensitive period disappears, it disappears once the child has acquired his knowledge. In the case of caterpillars, once they have reached the extreme, they lose the sensitivity to light. In the case of the child, once it has acquired certain issues, this sensitivity disappears. To make it easier to imagine that everything is dark except for something that is exposed to the light. The child cannot stop looking at it and goes towards it. That would be the sensitive period.